When you start working a new job, one of the advantages you have is you can see things with a different lens. You're not like everybody else who's been in the company for long and they've become accustomed to the way of doing things. So whilst you still have that new lens on, identify what the challenges are and use your fresh perspective from your previous experience to come up with these solutions. Hi and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about how to build a strong and lasting personal brand at a new job. We all know that first impressions matter. Chances are you're going to be remembered for the duration of your stay at that company based off people's first impressions of you. And so it's so important that from day one, you have your head in the game and you're building a strong and lasting personal brand. If this is your first time on my channel, thank you so much for clicking this video. My name is Nicole and this is A Millennial Girl's Diary. Being good at your job is just not enough if you want to accelerate your career growth and really rise up the ranks. You have to be more than good at your job. And so in this video, I'm going to share some tips and things that you should do in preparation for your new job. But more importantly, I'm also going to deep dive into how to create your 30, 60, and 90-day action plan once you've actually started, so that you get noticed by management, and that then becomes a seed that you're planting to do well and rise up the ranks in that company. So let's start off with the most obvious. Be professional. And this has two sides to it. There's the physical aspect where you need to think about your grooming. Maybe you need to get your nails done. You don't want to start a new job with chipped nails or just nails that look tacky. You want to think about your hairstyle, whether you're a male or a female. Especially if you're a woman of color, I wouldn't leave it to the very last minute because you know sometimes our hair just doesn't cooperate. This is particularly important if you're working in the office, but also important if you're working from home. You'll be surprised the things that people notice on these video calls because they're just looking at a screen and they can see everybody. So just make sure that you're well groomed. The next aspect is your attitude and your behavior once you've actually started the job. There's always going to be that one or even two people that make it their business to tell you about everybody else's business. You want to observe and listen and pay attention to what that person is telling you. But you also want to use wisdom in the way in which you respond. You're new in that company. Your objective is to learn and observe and not to talk too much. So you want to listen twice as much as you speak, and don't get involved in gossip and office drama, especially in your first couple of days, first couple of weeks on the job. Also keep in mind that people are going to ask you why you left your previous position. And so if you left your previous position maybe because it was a toxic environment or you had a really bad boss, you want to be careful about how you word this. You don't want to start a new job and you're already bad-mouthing your previous colleagues or bad-mouthing your ex-boss to people that you don't even know and people who don't know you. So always present a professional front at all times. The second thing that you should do is plan out your outfits, at least for the first few weeks. Remember, first impressions count, and we're trying to build a strong and lasting personal brand. And so you really want to think about how you want to position yourself. Like I said, you have a blank new canvas. Even if you're working from home, I don't care what you're going to wear from your waist down, but make sure that the top parts, the areas that people are going to see, look good. Invest in good quality shirts. You don't have to go all out and wear a suit, but at least put on a presentable shirt, a blouse, a dress, something that shows that you are professional and you've made an effort. Don't be the person that shows up on a video call in the morning or even in the afternoon looking like they just got out of bed or looking like they don't care about their appearance. Also keep in mind that people are always going to gossip about the new girl, about the new guy. And so when they're talking about you in their cliques, let them have something noteworthy to say. At least let them say, she dresses well. The next thing you need to do is be organized, and this involves planning out your living space. If you're working from home, you want to be in a clutter-free environment where you can think clearly and be productive. It's also important that you think about your video backdrop. What are people going to be seeing behind you during those video meetings? Don't be the person that shows up on a video call and their bed is not made. make sure your background is appropriate. Don't show up on a video call looking groomed, dressed well, but you have a poster of a naked person behind you and you work in professional services. That's not appropriate. And if you're working in the office, it's also important that you have a clean and clear space. That way, when you come back from work after a stressful day, your house is your sanctuary. It's a place where you can relax, refresh, and prepare for the next day. Think about what you're going to eat. Now, if you're working from home, this might be easier because you can quickly just dash to the kitchen and make something, but it'll also save you time if you've planned out what it is that you're going to quickly make. Now, if you're working in the office, really think about what it is you want to carry for lunch. It's important that you're respectful of other people. Don't be the person that takes out their food at lunchtime, puts it in the microwave, and the next 2 minutes, the entire office is smelling. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm sure everybody has encountered this. If you have other projects that you're working on, say maybe you have a side business, you want to make sure that you've put things in place so that when you're at work, you're not thinking about your personal clients or you're not thinking about what to post on social media, but you're actually spending your time doing what your employer has paid you for. So make sure you schedule things in advance so that even though you're at work, your personal projects are still going to be running smoothly and nothing is going to clash. The fourth thing, before we talk about your strategic plan, is to research the company. Yes, you've done research on the company, but this was when you were interviewing. Now you're looking at the company through a different lens because you're now an employee. And a lot of things could have changed between the time you interviewed and now. Do a read through on the news. Have they been mentioned? Has anything changed? Just refamiliarize yourself with what it is the company actually does, their core values, the structure, and the management. Also take time to look up your teammates, your superiors, and your subordinates on LinkedIn. I would go as far as taking somebody's LinkedIn and going to Instagram just to look at their pictures if the profile is open. And this will give you some sort of idea as to the person's personality. And once you then start working, it'll make it easier to relate to your colleagues. You might also find that you have things in common. You might find that you went to the same university, or maybe you worked together a couple of years ago. All these things will help you in striking conversations later on once you've started the job. Now, the fifth and final thing that I want you to do, and this is really, really important if you want to create a strong and lasting first impression, is to come up with your 30, 60, and 90-day action plan. The reason why conflict arises in relationships, even at work, or the reason why you might not do well is because there's a gap in your understanding and their understanding in terms of what's required of you. So I want you to get really crystal clear in terms of what it is their expectations of you are. It's only when you know what's expected of you that you'll be able to deliver the bare minimum, which is being good at your job. During the first few weeks, first few days, absorb as much information as you can. And you do this by trying out things, listening to people, taking feedback, spending time with your manager. The next thing you want to do is to identify as many challenges and problems as you can. And that doesn't mean you have to go about telling people, oh, why do you do this way? And my previous company, we did it that way. Nobody wants to hear that. That's totally a buzzkill because you might as well have stayed at that previous job and not joined the new company. But what you should do is document these problems, document these challenges. And again, you can get this information from trying out things, speaking to your manager, speaking to colleagues. And once you've identified all these things that are wrong, things that people complain about, things that people are not happy about, even things that you feel like were done better at your previous company, pick an area of focus. You can't fix every problem, at least not at the same time. This is the area that you want to zero down on and really peel the onion. So open the onion layer by layer and really dissect this problem. And then the next thing that you want to do is then come up with a solution. Now, it's really important that you don't overstep your boundaries and, go above your boss or offend your colleagues whilst doing this. So I recommend you take a collaborative approach. So let's say you found something that's not working. You can ask your colleagues, what do you think about this? Has it ever been changed? What do you think about doing it this way? You can also ask the same questions to your boss. And that way, at the end of the day, when you then come up with a solution to this problem, it's not going to be like, oh, this new girl or this new guy just came and they think they can change everything, because you've been bringing people along the journey journey, when you start working a new job, one of the advantages you have is you can see things with a different lens. You're not like everybody else who's been in the company for long and they've become accustomed to the way of doing things. So whilst you still have that new lens on, identify what the challenges are and use your fresh perspective from your previous experience to come up with these solutions. And it's important that you put on your project manager's cap and look at things from an eagle's eye. Don't look at things at superficial level and be the person that just comes up with problems and says this is wrong, this is wrong. Come up with the solutions. That's where you're going to win. So before you even go to your manager or go to anybody and complain that this is wrong, have a solution at the back of your mind. That way, even if a meeting comes up and they're asking for suggestions, you'll easily be able to give your suggestion. When you have reviews and meetings with your manager, let's say at the end of your first month, and they're asking how are things going, you're going to have things to say and suggestions to bring to the table. And that's how you're going to bring your name to the boardroom when managers are having meetings. And that's ultimately going to set the foundation for you to then be able to rise up the ranks in that company. So those are all the tips I wanted to share with you guys. Just remember that you need to have your head in the game from day one and build that strong and personal brand whilst you still have that new set of eyes and that fresh perspective. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.